Morning, everyone. This is Doug Pinter with Anytime Fitness North Peoria and Jeff Bach with Bach Law in studio on Daily Energy on this Friday morning. Jeff, how are you this morning?
Good, Doug. How are you?
Not too bad. I know you were running all over the place this morning, so I appreciate you carving out some time. Very professional looking. Did you win your suit this morning, or?
Doug, we took him to the cleaners. You know, it was a big traffic ticket. I mean, we just took it to the house. You know, went over to Eureka, just took it to the house on him over there. They didn't know what hit them. They saw Big City Peoria lawyer, and they just deer in the headlights. Yep, deer in the headlights. No clue. No clue.
Speaking of shell shock, no Cubs in the All-Star game. Wimbledon.
Makes sense, actually.
Is Murray going to bring home that championship?
Ooh.
And is LeBron leaving Cleveland?
Yes.
I think you might be right.
Yes.
I would not be surprised. Let's kick off the show this morning with some notes on the Cubs, who are 42 and 43, coming into the final series before the All-Star break. Montgomery just got shelled yesterday. It was brutal. I was listening to it on the radio. He went 2 1/3. Gave up like 11 runs or something like that total. The Cubs were down to 11-2 to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got a 4.5 game lead in the NL Central. They're 48 and 48 games over 500. John Jay actually came in to pitch for the Cubs yesterday. I mean, Madden was pulling everybody, including the mascot. Even gave him the day off, and Rizzo and Bryant and some of the other guys. And they brought John Jay in. Jay tripped up a few batters throwing a 46-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, I would assume when you're accustomed to seeing 90-mile-an-hour and then you get a 46-mile-an-hour, it might throw you off a little.
Like the Bugs Bunny changeup where you swing 3 times before it even gets to the plate.
And that ball's just
exactly. You don't know what's going on.
Just got right by him. But Cubs were down 11-2. They're coming into the final stand, coming into the All-Star break. Lackey is on the DL. He's got plantar fasciitis. He's on 10-day DL. I was reading into this morning that pretty much what caused Mark McGwire his career.
Oh, yeah.
Plantar fasciitis. He was a designated hitter towards the end. He said he couldn't hardly stand, let alone bat and run. So hopefully Lackey will get that under control and be back on the mound. He's 5-9 with a 5.20 ERA and 17 starts. So Lackey is having a dismal year, as well as all the pitchers, primarily for the Cubs. Giving up a run the first inning, they lead the MLB, and that's a bad stat to lead.
Not where you want to lead, Doug.
No. Then we got Hendricks. He's on the disabled list. He's got one more bullpen session on Saturday. Cubs say he'll be ready to go after that. Hendricks goes, I'm going to at least need one more session in the bullpen. He just says the inflammation on the back of his pitching hand creates a lot of soreness, and he's having a hard time getting his breaking balls down. And then John Lester raised $600,000 for pediatric cancer research. I think that's the only good thing the Cubs may have done this past week, and raised $600,000 for pediatric cancer.
He actually picked somebody off, though, right, in the Cardinals series? I remember.
Did.
Was it Tommy Pham, or it was one of those young guys that were like dancing around, messing around with him, and he finally just looked over at it, threw it over like a lollipop over there, and got the guy. It's like, okay, I guess there's a limit to like how much you can do, you know?
He was almost halfway to second base,
pretty much.
And Lester was like, maybe I should throw over.
I think I can like underhand chuck it there, roll it over maybe.
I love how when Lester takes the mounds, you see all these new images on TV. It shows these runners average leadoff like 5.5 feet. Most of those guys are 10 or 11. I think Pham got out to 12, and that's when he got picked off.
Yep.
Might be his first and last pickoff of the season.
They keep doing it, right?
Let's talk about the Cardinals. They're sitting in third place in the division behind Milwaukee and the Cubs, 41 and 44. Luke Voit, huge player coming up from the minors. He's 12 days into his big league debut, and they said, what are you here to do? He goes, I'm here to hit bombs and doubles, and that's exactly what he did yesterday. Hit a homer. His mom said he was in a little bit of a funk, said she'd pay him $25 if he hit a home run, so that really lit the fuse, and he launched one. Then he got a double. He went his home run went only 446 feet.
Oh, that's a short one.
4-3 win against the Marlins. Voit, big performance yesterday. Waka, he was 1 out shy of another quality start. He went 5 2/3. Waka, I do think, is probably one of the premier pitchers for the Cardinals. He is just consistent. He's not giving up too many runs, keeping the Cards in games. He manages it very well. Then you got Martinez, who is going to be at the All-Star game. his worst start, earlier in the season, he started off really slow. Now he's got it down to 3.15 ERA, 124 strikeouts and 111 and a third innings. So he's holding his own. We got Jeff Bach with Bach Law in studio. You may have seen that Facebook comment this morning. We were supposed to have our Frisbee golf match with David Weiss. Weiss is not even a contender in that, quite frankly. It just comes down to you and I.
As it always does.
And I'll tell you what, Jeff, place I've been running, there's Frisbee golf that surrounds it. And I've been watching these people throw.
That's good.
Well,
Doug, I watch you hit golf balls, and I'm so much better for it. I mean, you know how that works, right? I just watch you play, and then I can go up and rip one.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it works, right?
Well, the people I'm watching, though, are throwing it, and it gets caught up in the wind. It ends up in a ravine. Then I'm like, how do you play that?
You don't. Well,
do you just take a lost Frisbee and a penalty and throw,
no, you just
what?
No. I mean, there's OB. Like OB is real. You can't play out of there, but if it's water, you just go down. Dry it off a little bit, and you throw. I mean, that's what you do, man.
Just game on, wherever it lands.
Hey, this isn't real golf. You don't roll your pant legs up or anything. You just take your cargo shorts, hitch them up a little bit.
You wear cargo shorts?
Well, I mean, if you're playing Frisbee golf, you do. Yeah.
Do you store Frisbees in those pockets?
Sometimes.
Man,
It just
I got to go
depends.
shopping this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Doug, I'm sorry. I didn't want to, I was kind of going to keep it from you and, have all the other Frisbee golfers laugh at you when you got on the course, and I feel too bad making them do that, You're a good guy. You don't deserve that.
It's going to show up in a shorts and polo. It sounds like I need a tank top and cargo shorts, and
everyone's going to be like, narc. Look at the narc over here.
What do I do? Get a wagon full of Budweisers and Frisbees and towels?
Probably, yeah. I mean, that's a good start. Yeah.
Anyways, I want you to know I'm paying attention. We got to get this match on the books.
Let's do it, man.
We got to get the match on the books. Jeff Bach with Bach Attorney at Law. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in your world. What are you seeing come across your plate down at the office nowadays? I know that new law went into effect July 1st. So
right, we did last time we did talk about the new child support law, and as a brief refresher, it essentially moves from just looking at the income of the payor, the person who's paying, to looking at both incomes and then looking at kind of where you live, how much it costs to raise a child there. I mean, I think it's kind of intuitive to think that it might not cost as much to raise a child down here as it would in Chicago, and the new law is meant to, encompass two things. Number one, but if both parties are earning income, then it's fair to look at both parties' income as opposed to just the person who's supposed to pay. And then number two, obviously, again, different locations, you're gonna, it's gonna cost more to raise a child in certain locations and cost less in other locations. And the big thing, as I was emphasizing last time, is, we don't know for sure. Every case is different. We don't know for sure if the child support would go up or down with the new law. There's only one way to find out, and that's to come in and talk about it. And, assuming that somebody heard about this on the show, I would be more than happy to meet with them, crunch some numbers and see if it's something that made sense. And, if it doesn't make sense, we'll kind of, say, monitor it, let me know if things change, and then we'll, handle it from there.
Let me ask you a question. Did the state look to change this law for convenience or consistency? What is the thought behind the change in the law?
I'm not sure. With a lot of, I mean, it seems like the number one motivating factor was that we're one of only like 10 or 11 states that still use just the income of the person who's paying as a factor. Gotcha. There's 37 other states that are using the approach that we just adopted on July 1st. So I don't know, again, I don't know if it was brought on by, anything specific, or it was just kind of like, hey, that's the old way of doing it. The new way of doing it is more fair to everybody. I mean, it does kind of seem to me that, if you're only looking at one party's income, kind of not necessarily assumes, but I think it worked better in a time where maybe somebody was staying home with the kids, whether it was the mom or dad. But now that a lot of times both people are working, it's kind of like, why, if I'm the one who doesn't have custody, but the person that I'm, the other person makes more money than I do, why isn't that even, looked at or considered? And there was ways to do it under the old statute, but there wasn't any kind of, guaranteed way. One judge could look at it one way and say, you deserve a break because the other party makes so much. And another judge could say, you know what, you're not entitled to a break just because the other party makes so much. And frankly, if they explained it the right way, it probably wouldn't be changed on an appeal or anything. They'd just say, well, the judge made the decision. That's what we're going to go with. Now, that we made a law about it now, that's kind of the trend that we're seeing is that they did this with maintenance a couple years ago, where now it's just a math problem. 30% of the person who makes more minus 20% of the person who makes less, and then make sure that when you add that back, that nobody's getting more than 40% of the total income. And that's our formula. It used to be, the older guys would know, well, they could $750 a month, $1,000 a month, or whatever. Now, again, just a math problem. Plug the numbers in, and you go.
I think state of Illinois is rather conservative when adopting new laws into place. It sounds like they got enough statistical data from the other 37 states to finally feel comfortable enough to jump on board. So yeah, it's as simple as getting a hold of my buddy Jeff Bach, attorney at law. Sit down, talk about your circumstances, review the case, and see if it's a good decision to appeal or restructure that agreement.
The fancy name is a petition to modify. But again, the thing is, when you come see a lawyer, you don't need to worry about any of that, right? You bring in the numbers, I work with the numbers, and then we talk about, what the numbers mean in your case. And again, if it makes sense to file something, we file something. If it makes sense to kind of just wait and see, that's what we do. And the other thing that, when you're in there talking, a lot of people don't have, the end-of-life documents that I'm always promoting, the wills and powers of attorney. And again, it's a nice, if you're looking at that, you can also kind of, get yourself squared away so that you don't have to, think about if something bad happens to you, what's going to happen to my money, what's going to happen to, my stuff, and who's going to take care of it.
Get life in order.
That's what we're all about, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to do it at a reasonable price and make it convenient for everybody, so that I think a lot of people just have the idea that it's going to be more work than it is. And for the most part, the worst part is having to talk to me for 20 minutes, which you have to do every 6 weeks, Doug, or 8 weeks. You can verify just how terrible it is, but you get through it.
4 weeks. Well, never mind.
Feels like 4 hours every week, right?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I did come down to your office. We did talk about my will, updated things, and things of that nature. It was very simple. I thought it was going to be a lot more detailed, and you made it very simple with some of the questions you asked. Now it's just a matter of us getting in there and signing it in front of your notary. But yeah, I think it was great. And I left your office feeling like a monkey was taken off my back, just because I know if I pass today, things should be in order, so that way my family and the kids, things of that nature, don't have to fight over things. We're talking with my good friend Jeff Bach, attorney at law downtown, reviewed and covered a little bit of the new law that went into place on July 1st about custody, as well as the child support payments. And covered a little bit about our Cubs. They're dismal at best. Are you even tuned in to watch Cubs this season? I feel like a lot of Cub fans, we're kind of on that honeymoon phase. Yeah, we'll pay attention when they're winning, but when they're getting blown out yesterday, it's like, no big deal. We won last year. What's your thoughts?
I'm actually a Cardinal fan. My wife is a Cub fan, but that's why I
liked Michelle.
I was so happy that they won last year, because I just tired of hearing about the Cubs. And now that they're not playing very well,
they're terrible.
We don't have to hear about it anymore. We're not talking about the lovable losers and wait till next year. We're talking about they won last year and now they're just kind of playing with house money. Again, so tired of hearing about the Cubs and the curse and the lovable losers and the Bartman and the goat and the black cat and all this, stupid. I don't care anymore.
Last I know, Bartman, the goat, and the cat were all at a hotel just down the road. I don't know. I would steer clear of that. Let's talk a little bit about the All-Star game coming up on Monday. One thing I enjoy doing is TiVoing the baseball home run derby.
That's the way to do it. Sitting through it is pretty terrible. Jeez. I don't know if Berman's calling it or not, but I can only handle somebody.
Well, Bergman retired from announcing about 6-7 months ago.
Yes.
Welcome out of the cave.
Yes.
So I don't know who will be calling the game. I would assume John Kruk and a few of the sportscasters will be in there from Sunday Night Baseball. But yeah, here's who's in the. I'm glad you asked. Here's who's in the All-Star Home Run Derby. You got Stanton, hometown boy from Miami, just crushes the ball. He's second fastest bat speed, right behind Aaron Judge from the Yankees. Judge is 6'7", gorilla with a bat that just bashes it. Stanton is your favorite. According to Vegas odds, he's a $100 bet, gets 120. Judge, $100 bet is 163. Here's a few of the other players in the home run derby. Bellinger, Moustakas, from, I believe he's with Kansas
Royals,
City, right? Third baseman.
Moose.
Sanyo, Blackman, Bauer and Sanchez. Sanchez, $100 bet out in Vegas. Yeah, I don't even know who he plays for. I apologize.
Is that Gary Sanchez, the catcher for the Yankees, maybe?
I can't argue that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with
Yeah.
yes. $100 bet out in Vegas. If Sanchez wins, gets you $2,000.
You got to split it with him, though, right
50?
at that point. Yeah.
I got 50.
Yeah,
You got
all
50? All right. Let's do that. All-star lineup. Your first baseman, Smoke from Toronto. Altuve from Houston will be playing second. Shortstop's Correa. Third base is Ramirez from Cleveland. Catcher is Perez from Kansas City. So, no, that is not. It's, never mind. Perez
Sanchez from the Yankees is what I was saying.
I apologize. Outfielder, Judge, Betts from the Red Sox, and Springer from Houston. Designated hitter is Dickerson from Tampa Bay. Over in the NL, you got Zimmerman at first, Murphy at second, Cozart at shortstop, representing the Cincinnati Reds. Arenado from Colorado. He's just beat out Chris Bryant. Dang it. Posey is the catcher from San Fran. Then your outfielders will be Harper, Blackman, and Ozuna from Miami. They did not announce designated hitter. When you go to the pitching rosters, holy smokes, I think they got 15 to 20 pitchers in the pen. The odds-on favorite, AL, is favored to win with the over-under set at 9.5. I'm going to take the over. I think it'll be a home run derby in itself, don't you think?
I can't believe 9.5. That seems low. I mean, really low, right?
Well, I think with quality pitching, the first guys get out, maybe start off hot. I don't know. Who knows? What do we know?
I mean, do the pitchers really bring their best gas? I mean, don't they save it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an athlete. I don't know how any of this works.
Pitchers are out in Miami experiencing a little bit of the nightlife and kind of getting away from things for a little while.
I would think that's what they would do, you know.
Probably what I would do.
The only thing I'm using that arm for is lifting a cold one, you know. Maybe a couple even.
Stick the arm in the ice bucket when you're done.
Yep.
Bach is practicing up. Hey, NBA, we had lots of moves yesterday going on. Hardaway agreed to a 4-year, $71 million deal with the Knicks. I mean, I can't believe the amount of money these guys are getting paid.
He's a Michigan man, so that makes sense. I mean,
well then, that totally clears the air. Rudy Gay, 2-year, $17 million over to the Spurs.
You would think it'd be the other way around, right? I mean, I guess I'm thinking of Rudy Gay like 10 years ago, but I thought Rudy Gay was a thing, and now he's signing for $8 million, and Tim Hardaway's getting like 17 million a year. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's.
I know Rudy Gay's coming off an injury, but anyway, the NBA changes so fast. You never know.
Here's the thing. I think all these owners are just throwing money away because I've yet to see a team come across that is going to stack up against Golden State. Speaking of Golden State, they picked up what's his name? Nick Young from the Lakers. Swag. Didn't Nick Young call out one of his teammates last year? There was a lot of
D'Angelo Russell set him up, like got him on video to say that he cheated on Iggy Azalea. Is that her name? Iggy, whatever. And obviously, you know, I mean, you and I would never do that. Obviously, number one, but number two, if our friends did that, it'd be. I guess Swaggy P just didn't feel that way.
Sorry about that. Got a little call coming in. I know we're slowing up here in the show. Olenek from Celtics. I was surprised about this. 4-year, $50 million to the Heat. We were talking before we came on air about how the owner of the Cavs he's starting to implode this organization from the inside out, and I think LeBron saw it coming. He gave props to the coach and everything leading into the draft and whatnot. Now, all of a sudden, GM and the owner, they're kind of clashing heads. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, then I guess everybody thinks that Chauncey Billups is going to be a good front agent guy, or front office guy, and I guess they offered him half of what a front office job goes for. Allegedly, the GM job should pay $4 million in the NBA. This is all allegedly. I can't believe they make this money just for that, but they offered him $2 million, and that's why I didn't want to sign up. So I guess Dan Gilbert just wanted a championship, and now that he's got it, it's like, see ya.
And Billups, he does his TNT. I pay attention to him when he's on those sports talks. I think he's pulling in at least $2 million on those shows. So, yeah, why change gears and have all that pressure on him? I don't know. You got Nick Young going over to Golden State. The Heat waived Chris Bosh.
Yep.
I don't think Bosh gets back into the league with all of his injuries and everything.
Unfortunately, he's just going to have to take his, $50 million guaranteed that's left on the contract and not play anymore.
Ride that into the sunset.
That is a shame.
We got my good friend Jeff Bach with Bach Attorney at Law in studio. My name's Doug Pinter on Daily Energy. We were talking a little bit about the new laws that went into place July 1st on custody and child support. And Jeff, what else is going on in the world of law that we need to know about here in Peoria?
Well, I mean, nothing, the other thing that they're talking about right now is work comp reform. And as you know, I also do practice in the area of workers' compensation law. And, other people may remember, in 2011, they also reformed it. The goal was to make insurance less expensive for the employers, right? Because we want people to be, to employ people in the state of Illinois, open businesses, and not feel like the costs are so prohibitive that you can't open a business, right? Generate jobs. And actually, I was talking to Mr. Wiest yesterday, and Mr. Wiest and I were discussing how it turns out that the costs of workers' compensation have gone down, pretty significantly. It's just, unfortunately, the insurance premiums haven't gone down the same amount because the insurance companies are kind of saying, well, the insurance is a little bit less, but we're going to keep that money and not pass on the savings. So I don't know what the solution is as far as, the work comp. Getting the cost passed, or the reduction in cost passed on to the employer, because again, that's the goal: generate jobs, generate business growth. But they're going to try it again, and with the mess we're in, I guess anything might help, right?
Well, and I think with Trump, I think in the first couple months, created over 300,000 new jobs. There are some tax breaks to business owners, so that way can open more locations, hire more people. But yeah, it just doesn't coincide with if business is booming and more people are being hired on. Yeah, why? Who should be regulating that? Or is that a non-regulated item with the insurance world?
For work comp, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like the free market, like everything else, right? You see advertisements all the time for car insurance, life insurance, that kind of stuff. They compete with each other on that. But, I mean, the sense I get is that there's not a lot of competition, right? I mean, we know that if you call State Farm and don't get the rate you want, there's 20, 30, 40 other companies you can call and get rates from, and typically you go with the best rate. I mean, the sense I get is that there's just not a lot of competition between companies on work comp rates.
I would think one of these businesses would be inclined to reduce rates, try to capture business, and then the other ones follow suit, just stay competitive.
Yeah.
But
you would think.
If no one's budging, then that's more money in all their pockets.
That's right.
It is what it is.
Yep.
What'd you do for the 4th of July? Come downtown, check out the fireworks?
I did not. We have, as you know, we have a 1.5-year-old, and
that probably.
Oddly enough, he goes to bed at 7, and loud noises. Not a big fan of those. So, I'm sure 5 years from now we'll be down in the heat and trying to make it till 9:30 to watch the fireworks. But no, not this year. What'd you do?
A buddy of mine, Eric English, with Scion A5. They sponsored or helped sponsor the game down at Dozer Park.
Yeah, I saw you on Facebook there.
Yeah, we got some tickets, and my kids and I.
Yeah.
My wife wasn't able to make it. She's not feeling so well, so it was my turn to cook. So we had nachos.
Nice.
Oh, it was a hit with the kids, followed up with a little Dippin' Dots. Oh, yeah. I've never had Dippin' Dots until then.
Ice cream of the future. It's only been the ice cream of the future for like 20 years, right? It's the ice cream of today now, apparently, but still the future.
First time I ever tried it in
it's
20
good,
years.
man. It's good.
Chiefs, they put out a good ball game. They hit a couple home runs. They won handily, and then kind of sat around. They entertained the crowd for 45 minutes to an hour, and then the fireworks started. I thought the police did a wonderful job navigating people out of downtown, so kudos to our police department. I think it was a safe and fun night for a lot of families down here. And the firework display, the grand finale is just unbelievable.
It's true. I think, for my money, it's like after the first 2 minutes, it gets a little repetitive. But man, when that last 30 seconds or a minute, when they light off like enough to fill, the rest of the show in like 30 seconds, it's like, whoa, my God, it just come. Oh.
As cheap as I am, I'm like, wonder how much that cost. We were all talking amongst ourselves. Our guesses were anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000
for just the finale, or for the whole thing?
For the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't know what it costs.
No, but I don't think the city pays for it. I think it's all underwritten by Methodist or whoever the other sponsors are. Yeah, which is cool. I mean, really cool. Brings in a lot of people to the area, as we were talking about. Which generates business, and then, a lot of those, like the Riverfront Museum has something, the Riverplex has something, like Kelleher's parking lot has something, and it all benefits local businesses, local charities, and it's awesome.
A lot of of people sitting around us at the Chiefs game. You bring up a good point. We're from Bloomington, Galesburg, Springfield. They all had rooms downtown in Peoria and that, spend the money, having dinner and breakfast at the Chiefs game. So brought in some good tax money for the city as well. And it turned out to be a pretty nice night. The overcast kind of helped keep it manageable because it was brutally hot that day. And
yeah,
the
rain kind of cooled it down a little bit because it was, man, it's been humid recently. But yeah, it was nice that night.
Sultry.
Very.
Let's talk about the PGA Tour. Munoz, 9 under. I mean, 63 yesterday. That's just unbelievable for like my dad's era. Davis Love III shooting 7 under. I mean, Dad was texting me saying, man, my guy's back in. I said, Dad, let's not get too carried away. DL3 is a heck of a round. See if he can hang in there. You got DeLay, Lee, both right in the running. Today's notable group that you'll want to follow on TV, I think they tee off at 1:30, is Phil Mickelson sitting at 4 under, Bubba Watson at -1, and Lee sitting at 6 under. I think one of those guys will make a charge. Phil Mickelson's just hitting the ball unbelievably, rather consistent. Next week is John Deere over in Silvis, Illinois. Had the qualifier yesterday, played with a gentleman. His name's Brad. He shot, I think it was 6 under par.
Wow.
Just simple game to that gentleman.
I guess so.
He's hitting 3-wood about 290, 300 off the tee. I'm going, you young guys are just unbelievable. So congratulations to Brad. I look forward to seeing him. I'm taking over some doctors to entertain on Sunday. So hopefully Brad will be right there in the last group. And let's talk
Can I ask you a question? What do you think about Phil Mickelson missing the U.S. Open for the daughter's graduation? Right choice? I mean,
yeah, of course. As a father, I mean, family first. I know it's one of his loved tournaments, but yeah, you got to be there for your kids.
The question I have is, I would imagine that a man like Phil Mickelson, you would think that he could make a generous donation and see if maybe they wanted to do it on a different day, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this works. I'm sure it's planned well in advance, but again, you would think that,
Well, so there's that discussion. There's a discussion of why didn't Phil take a helicopter or a short ride over to the golf course from where he was after or before the event. So I think it just put him in a tough spot, and he erred on the side of family, so I don't think anyone can fault him. That guy's got enough money, and his legacy will live on. But I think at the end of the day, he's one of those dads out on the tour that, he wants to make sure his daughters know he's there for him. What's your thoughts on it?
No, and that's, of course, the right answer. But, man, I know how bad he wants that U.S. Open. Like that's the last feather in his cap. And if he gets that career Grand Slam, and, I mean, I think all those guys, I think if you're an American, you get up for the, you're ready for the U.S. Open. I think, the Masters is awesome. Augusta's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. But the U.S. Open, it's like you win one of those, you've conquered the hardest challenge in golf, in my opinion.
I think the Open and the British are right there. But, yeah, the U.S. Open for the Americans definitely want to play that. I'm sure he was a little jittery sitting in the stands watching his daughter, but I'm sure he's getting prepared for
the British Open, yeah.
For the Open, yeah. Hey, let's talk a little college football. We got a minute and a half. Predictions this year rolled out. Bama ranked number 1, USC 2. Clemson 3, Ohio State, Jeff Griffin, number 4. Get ready to have your heart broken this year. Florida State sitting at 5, Oklahoma 6, and then we'll round it out at number 7, Penn State, because number 8 is Michigan. We all know how I feel about that, don't we, Jeff?
And I really think it's going to come down to Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, Penn State really did look good at the end of the year, but if you watched at maybe the beginning and middle, they got stomped by Michigan. Like, we're really lucky to beat Ohio State. I mean, win's a win and all that good stuff, but a blocked field goal and that's
down call. That was questionable.
Well, that was the Michigan-Ohio State game. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a fun year in the Big Ten East. I think the Big Ten West is going to continue to be trash.
3 of the top 3 of the teams in the Big Ten are right there. So time will only tell. Jeff Bach, attorney at law downtown. He came into Daily Energy Studios. My name's Doug Pinter with Anytime Fitness Peoria. If you're tuning in late, hop back to the beginning of the show where I trash talked Jeff about Frisbee golf. He told me I need some cargo shorts for Frisbee golf. And we talked a little bit about the new child law that went into effect on July 1st. And covered all of your sports needs for the upcoming week, the trades, the deadlines, everything here on Daily Energy. My name's Doug Pinter. This is Jeff Bach. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
PeoriaLife.com.